Hey guys, it's me again, Professor Clark, here to talk to you about Gibbs' article on defensive communication. Kind of clever that I picked the shortest article to do for my second presentation, right? Give me some credit. But in this article, Gibbs talks about how the way we communicate in the workplace can create a defensive response from people that gets in the way of the communication process. Now remember, communication is the sender that has something they want to convey. They encode it and they decide which channel they're going to send it through, and the receiver gets it and decodes it, and that message that has been decoded has a meaning, and how well those two meanings match up to each other gives us I guess an evaluation of how good the communication was. Now noise can get in the way of that process, and defenses and emotions are an example of a noise that can get in the way. Well, Gibbs talks about 6 different, I guess, categories or discussions of how communication can elicit a defensive response. And he suggested an alternative way to communicate, that we create a supportive environment for the exchange of information. So let's quickly go through those categories: evaluative and descriptive. Evaluative, you're passing judgment over the situation, and descriptive, you're losing that judgment component. You're describing what's going on, but you're not saying that's a great job or a horrible job. Control versus problem orientation. Are you approaching whatever you're trying to communicate with, let's figure this out together, or you guys really screwed up, now come forward and tell me who did it. Provisional versus certainty. Certainty is the one that creates a defensive communication situation. Provisionalism is something that is, think of provisional, it's temporary, of a limited time. So if you communicate that everything is decided and this is the way it's going to be, and it's A, B, C, and D, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts, then what's the purpose of communicating? Why are you even talking to me? But if you do it in a way that things still can change and adapt, and what's set in place right now is only a temporary thing, then you'll have better communication. On this side, strategy and spontaneity. Strategy, you feel like you're being played, and we talk about politicians, right, when they communicate, we don't believe anything that they have to say because we feel like they're doing it for a purpose. Versus spontaneity, where you feel like it's sincere and they really are reacting to a situation. Empathy, neutrality, which one of those do you think is the one that would elicit a defensive response? Well, it's the neutrality. I don't care what you have to say. So that really turns you off, right? When you're really worked up about something, you're expressing that to a coworker, and they seem to care less. Maybe they're not even paying attention. And equality versus superiority. Equality, you're on the same level. Even though you're my boss, I feel like you want to hear what I have to say. You value my opinion. Versus superiority, that you think you're 5 steps better than me, and you know it all, and I'm just a little peon. Okay, in that situation, if I'm getting that vibe from you, the communication, I'm gonna feel like you don't care what I have to say at all. Let me give you a couple of examples, and let's figure out which one of these categories they are. The first one is just from my own personal life. Randy and I have been married for 13 years, so we have lots of kind of hot button issues for us. One is, I guess we kind of sort of knew this from the get-go, but it is amplified over time. He's very neat and likes things to be in their place, and I am not so neat. I actually would love for things to be in their place, but I can get by with them not being there, and they're often not there. So I've learned that I kind of have blinders until things are just encroaching so much, and then it drives me crazy. Okay, but it's an area of contention, discussion for us. It takes him saying one thing and I get defensive about what's going on. So he can make a comment that the house is a mess, or why bother because it'll be this way tomorrow, and I just get all defensive, and we probably have an argument over, or we don't talk for a bit. What is that an example of these categories? What's going on there? Probably more likely I would say it's evaluative, right? He says something that evaluates the quality of the picked upness of the house, and I get really defensive. Now, I will say at this point, because we've been together so long and I really know what's going on, he could describe the house without passing judgment, but I think he would get the same reaction at this point. Okay, another example. Hillary Clinton during the campaign, do you recall the point where I can't remember what she cried at something. She had tears coming down her face. And there was a lot of discussion by the pundits of whether it was real tears or fake tears. So I don't know if you recall that or not, but what would that potentially, where would that fall? Okay, it would probably be, is that a spontaneous, legitimate, emotionally felt cry that she was having, or was it part of her political strategy to connect with women or whoever the group was that at the time, I don't remember what the issue was about. So it could be one of those situations.